It's a PvP between the player spawning to the bottom left hand side in green. It's Poizon. And spawning to the top right in purple, as we all know, the best color for Protoss. It's Koshkii. Yes, I think it's worth saying that Poizon has just recently joined Psystorm, I think yesterday or the day before. So only a few hours ago actually, that Poizon left her old gaming clan of Gravity and joined Psystorm, so congrats for that. So I don't really know if this is the first PvP we actually see during the season, but it's one of the firsts, at least. So, and like I said before, these two players know each other's playstyle in and out. They have been friends for a long time, so they have even done streams together. So yeah, if two players know their respective playstyles, it's these two. So it might be getting quite interesting with mind games and everything. Or maybe even not, because it's still PvP. And although PvP is not as much of a coin flip as it was like in Wings of Liberty, it still can be a pretty sucky matchup. So always depends on how good your scouts are, how lucky you are at a little bit, how just blind countering, how much you're just blind countering your opponent's build. So yeah, it can be quite a problematic matchup, but we'll see what these two ladies are going to get through during the season. Already a small supply lead for Koshkii here. If we just have a look, that's already 23 probes more. Where I actually don't really know where that's coming from. Oh yeah, now I see. It's from Poizon chrono boosting her gateway. Because she really wants to have that simulator that Koshkii just took from her. By placing her own extractor onto that. So she rather wanted to have an early zealot out and the mothership core in order to get that gas as soon as possible. Because she knows that her own strategy is not going to work without the gas over here, and that of course a possible all-in by Koshkii could harm her very hard if she doesn't have the right amount of gas available for herself. So yeah, she just rather went for a chrono boosted zealot instead of chrono boosted workers, but not without leaving her opponent annoyed with her own pylon at the natural base, so keeping her from expanding for a little bit longer. In the meantime, it seems as if Koshkii has already decided to go for a one base all-in, because we already have a pylon position back here, and there's probably going to be a warp gate as well. Very nicely snuck in a little probe down here. A lot of players tend to forget this entrance since it was walled off with the debris after a patch. At the beginning of the season, this debris wasn't here, but it got patched later on, so maybe Poizon will be able to warp something in over here sneakily without her opponent realizing. But at the meantime, she still needs to defend this little push coming her way. And now Koshkii realizes that her opponent is still on one base, so she knows that she has to actually just doing some damage, as much damage as she can, just defending at home, and then she'll be safe quite easily. But yeah, in the meantime, there's not much she can do right here. Photon overcharge just keeping her from trading efficiently, so she just walks back knowing that her opponent is probably going for some sort of one base all-in. Yeah, and there's another pylon down here, a gateway finishing, and once we have the warp gate research finishing as well, I think Poizon should really move out now in order to get in front of her base, in order to get to her opponent's natural base. Sorry for that. And now finally the warp gate opens. There's no Dark Shrine in place this time around, So it's only going to be a few warped in units over here. It seems as if Poizon is still a little bit worried of moving out while Koshkii's Stalkers are around, but it seems now she can finally move out, but unfortunately her timing is just so much more delayed by that. I mean, just think about these units moving in while the rest of her army moves up that ramp at the same time. I mean, this push would be so much scarier that way. But yeah, now the rest of her army just has to deal with this army first. Still, Koshkii just losing a lot of Stalkers back here. At the meantime, it was quite easy for her to defend at home with the use of the Photon Overcharge. Or actually, she didn't use it at all. No Photon Overcharge even being used. Okay, more units just coming in with the Shade. Just shading away towards the same position. That was actually odd. And now the rest of the army finally comes in with the second push, kinda. But like I said, I think this could have been way more effective if both pushes had just hit at the same time. So unfortunately, a little bit badly timed by Poizon here. And now finally Koshkii has her own Immortal out. And even actually, I think, no, not quite more units, but the higher tech units, the units that are actually a little bit more mobile, and now she can just hide behind her pylons. She still has a lot of Photon Overcharges available, just overcharges one pylon again, could even overcharge the next one if necessary, but she wants to play it safe, doesn't really want to throw away all of her overcharges at once. So let's see if Poizon really walks through with this or just wants to do this for a scout. No, she actually really wants to go inside the base trying to kill off more probes, but that's always a bit problematic to do. She now has to micro all of her units up here so that they won't attack the Stalker but rather attack the probes, because that's normally the main target you actually want to have. And while you're actually microing these units up here, it's problematic to micro units down here as well, because you just can't actually be at two positions at a time. You just have to jump back and forth in order to do that. So finally losing the second pylon over here. I think Koshkii should really replace a few of these pylons, because now she's losing the production of that gateway and she doesn't even have something to overcharge anymore. Yeah, now finally replacing one more. I think she could have done that a little bit earlier. I'm quite surprised that she hasn't really tried to find that proxy position, but I think she feels that if she walked just tried to move too far away from her main base, it might harm her more than do her good to find that proxy position that she already, of course, knows exists to that pathway. So she rather waits here and tries to defend as good as possible. Does she actually know about her opponent not having another base? I mean, she doesn't have a scout over there. I mean, of course, she knows how many units and resources her opponent is throwing into that, but I don't know if she's quite sure that her opponent is still one base. I mean, of course, as long as her opponent is one base, the only thing that Koshkii needs to do is to defend. She's on two bases, rebuilding her probe once more. So once this push gets finally held, Koshkii will just be so far ahead that it just won't even matter. And now finally she moves out, finally is of the opinion that nothing can really harm her right now, so she will be able to take this out. Slight miss micro here, now moving a little bit more forward, taking out all of these pylons, so no more warping in for Poizon, who just now tries to come up with a backup plan that actually is not really a backup plan, because she really doesn't have anything, and Koshkii knows it. She doesn't want to give her opponent that time to build herself up once more. She just walks across the map. Nice warp in by Poizon with these sentries. These sentries actually could help her quite a lot to defend her natural base from her opponent's army. Of course, she has to move a little bit more forward in order to see the units coming up that ramp ahead of time, so that she will be able to just seal this off with 2 force fields. Maybe 3, but of course 2 would be better. Still has to be careful. Koshkii just realizes that there are sentries in the mix, and she doesn't really want to get her army separated, but now she finally does. I still think it doesn't really make any difference. Okay, even the time warp going down, slowing down these units up towards the ramp. But of course, Poizon doesn't have an infinite amount of sentries and force fields available. Even, I mean, warping in sentries is nice for the force fields for now, but of course the big problem is that once the sentries run out of energy, they are just pea shooters with their little tickling beam, disruption beam. It really sounds like some dangerous weapon, but it's just the pea shooter. So yeah, not really much that that she can do. Koshkii just breaking through the rocks. Is that the wrong rocks? Is she doing that deliberately? Does she expect her opponent to have taken a third base over here? I don't really know. It's a bit odd to take these rocks down and then go through these rocks into the third base. But actually I think that's what she's thinking. Or maybe she just really wants to surprise her opponent coming from that angle. Maybe expecting her opponent to having a unit in place so that she will see if she tries to take down these rocks. So that's actually quite an interesting choice. To go through the first rocks and then through the second rocks and then just retreat. Okay, quite interesting. So maybe she just wanted to open the path just in case, making something happen with her army. It's actually quite interesting that she doesn't really want to overcommit. She knows she's far ahead already. And why sacrifice that by trying to break through this entrance head on? And just getting crushed in the attempt maybe. So yeah, I mean, she can always just relax, pull back. She already has her third base up. She knows with the help of the observer that her opponent doesn't have a third base. So she can just sit back and tech up. It's now in Poizon's. The ball is now in Poizon's. The ball is now in Poizon's court, and she has to make something happen with it. In the meantime, Koshkii can just use her superior economy to get more upgrades, to get more tech, to get more units, and then just steamroll over her once she's maxed. So why risk that with some sort of risky attempt of taking the game now if you're sure that you can take it later? In the meantime, Poizon trying to take her third base, of course. Koshkii scouts that immediately. I really would have loved a small little force in front of here, maybe even some stalkers with blink. I don't even know, does she have blink? No, she doesn't. But maybe even some stalkers in order to prevent these bases from going down. Would have been nice, I guess, and having some stalkers in front here wouldn't have really cost her much. So, in the meantime, trying to get speed for Zealots. So it seems as if she doesn't really want to wait until she's maxed before she's going to make something happen. The speed lots seem to me that she really wants to get up and close and personal with these units very soon. Especially with potential immortals. Because that's normally what Zealots with charge are good for. Taking a mostly gateway-based army with a lot of immortals. So, even walking an Archon here, quite interesting there, not even trying to make some damage happen with the DTs, although she actually could have, with like a proxy pylon over here, and then just sending in some DTs, trying to kill some more probes and everything, so I think that actually would have been nice. So in the meantime we have Stargate incoming for Poizon, going for an Oracle here, probably only to tag the opponent's units with a Revelation spell, maybe doing some damage with the Oracle Beam if you manage to get inside a mineral line. Ooh! Bad misclick by Koshkii here, just a lot of workers not working here, actually 7 at a time, which is a bit unfortunate. I'm probably going to realize it in a few minutes. Normally you have this little overlay over here that shows you when your workers are not working, and now she finally realizes and sends the lazy guys back to work. French probes, it seems. They must have been. So, Nexus coming up at the gold base for Koshkii. Like this a lot. Like I said before, there's not much that Koshkii can lose here. Of course, has to be aware that her opponent might go for DTs as well. But like I said before, I mean, she knows her opponent. And now we even have the big engagement in the middle of the map. And this should be a fight that Koshkii should take easily with the amount of speed lots and units behind it. So Poizon dropping down, GG, and Koshkii takes the first game. So, welcome back to the second game of the series. We're on Frozen Temple, spawning to the top left corner in green, playing for Psystorm. It's Poizon. And to the bottom right, in purple, playing for Rival Gaming, it's Koshkii. Leading 1-0. Both opponents just throwing a lot of these cute little icons into the chat. cheese needs to be an emote, but isn't, unfortunately. Maybe it's coming. And you're right, it needs to be an emote. I'm totally of your opinion there. I'm with you. I'm the core. That's what I can say. So, Koshkii this time going for what looks like a standard gateway opening into expand. So we'll see that later on. Same with Poizon. Ah, but going for another gateway before that, so double gateway, probably trying to get some double adept harassment going on. In the meantime, we have Koshkii just going to scout this in a few seconds. Not taking long run. Okay, now she knows that there are two gateways. If she has clicked there, and this time around Poizon even knows what her opponent is up to. Putting out the wing smiley, because she just knows she can protect, but still Koshkii just gets it. Prevents it from happening for quite some time, but finally she just manages to drive the probe away in order to take that assimilator. So, you Protoss players out there, if you play against Koshkii, you now know that she likes to steal your gas. So, prepare for it accordingly. So, in the meantime, we have sneaky Poizon just trying to hide a probe from her opponent's view, and it totally is hidden. So maybe we're going to see something I haven't seen since Vol, or maybe even HOTS, because in HOTS you could also still warp in with the use of with the help of only one pylon, which is going to be an in-base pylon for warp-ins. So let's see if this is going to work out or not, or maybe she's just using it later on for scouting purposes. So we'll see. Again, Koshkii just forced her opponent to chrono boost another zealot, and maybe even another one. Wow, even two zealots from the gateway, supply blocking herself in the process, because she was probably just so thrown off her own build that she made this little mistake of having the pylon too late. So, and again, it helped Koshkii to gain the economic advantage early on, because she was able to continue pro production with a chrono boost on, while her opponent had to invest resources and chrono boost into early units in order to take down this assimilator of her opponent as soon as possible. So in the meantime, Koshkii's base in the build, but Poizon's base a bit earlier. That means, of course, that she doesn't really have a lot of units here to defend this, but finally just manages to get her own units down. 4 against 2 is often a good thing, especially if you have the according tech units. So the zealots alone, of course, wouldn't really help out, because they could just get infinitely kited, but 2 zealots and 2 stalkers are actually a force to be reckoned with. And in the meantime, Koshkii actually has to worry now, because she doesn't have a pylon in place for photon overcharge. And I think, yeah, she does have a mothership core here. But yeah, like I said before, I mean, of course, it's not that easy for 4 units, and they don't even actually get that way. Oh, Poizon, what are you doing? No! That would have been so annoying in order to just defend this base with only these 3 units against your 4. Okay, it would have involved a lot of micro, and she wouldn't have still probably not been able to do that much damage. But maybe keeping a few more probes from mining, just denying the mining from the space for a little longer, I think it would have been a wise decision to at least try to get here and see what you could have done. And well, now of course it would have been defended by now. So yeah, no big problem here, but for a moment I was a little bit worried. Only a little bit, not really that much. You know, on the caster I have to hype things up, always important. So, Robotics Bay incoming together with another gateway for Poizon, so she will be able to have detection early on. Twilight Council for Koshkii, which could mean that she goes either Blink. Ever hello the wrong thing. What did you hallucinate? Oh, a Colossus. So, come scout me, bro. Come scout me, bro. Yeah, you're right. I don't even know if the amount of time actually is enough for the Colossus to just really get the info you want. Oh, okay. There it is. So even dancing the hallucinated Colossus over here. So these two really having fun, and Poizon doing the counter dance. So yeah, there she had it. Okay, nice seeing these two having their fun, and there it is, still unscouted. The pesky probe with the pesky pylon. So let's see if Poizon is going to make good use of it. Unfortunately, this time around, she doesn't really have DTs. Why don't you have DTs, girl? I don't understand. I mean, normally you're the DT queen and you build DTs in every game, but this time you finally managed to sneak a proxy pylon inside your opponent's base and you don't have a Dark Shrine? What is going on? I just don't understand. But it doesn't actually matter, because there's a Dark Shrine on the way for Koshkii down here. As I said before, it could have been Blink, but it was not really... wasn't really thinking of that. Koshkii now trying to take a third base down here. In the meantime, we have a lot of units being warped inside her main base. And a big supply block for Koshkii as well, which is a bit unfortunate, but same supply block for Poizon, the infamous 78 of 78 supply block. Everyone who plays Protoss knows it quite well. So Koshkii, Poizon also taking the third base a little bit behind it, and more adepts moving in. But at the meantime we have photon cannons even being positioned back here, just probably because she's building her own Dark Shrine and she doesn't want to die against DTs herself. So yeah, some photon cannons make sense, especially against an opponent who calls herself DT Queen. So this time around we have the right hallucinated unit, so Koshkii will get all the information she wanted with the help of that Phoenix. And now we have the and now we finally have the warped in adepts giving away their presence by attacking that pylon down here, which is a bit unfortunate. So it seems as if she won't really do that much damage with the adepts at all, which is a bit unfortunate for her, because again, that was a really big investment. I think that were 7 or 8 adepts, which is 800 gas and 800 minerals and 200 gas. So that's actually a really big investment there, and that actually didn't manage to do anything except bringing Koshkii, or making Koshkii to move back into her main base with her main army. That was actually all of it. So it bought her some time, but for just buying time it was a really strong investment. Still, Koshkii a little bit behind in supply. Let's have a look at the worker count. 57 to 57, so nothing special there. 1-0 with 2-0 incoming. And in the meantime, Poizon's units don't have any upgrade at all. So there's the first ET, not really doing any damage because there's an observer hanging around. But the DT is now moving into the main base, and no observer over here, no detection at all. And now the DTs finally start killing things. Unfortunately for Koshkii, there are 2 stalkers here, and the DTs first try to kill the stalkers before they finally tend towards the probes. But yeah, and now the observer is here, more units being morphed in. So it seems as if the DTs will have to face a certain death, not without taking some of the units with them. So I think that was actually the better harassment by Koshkii here. Now she's up 2 in supply, not that much, but it might count a little. The more important thing is that she has already saturated her own base for quite some time, while her opponent is only capable of saturating her own right now. And there's 2 more stalkers. I think Koshkii just wanted to try out every hallucination that the hallucination ability grants her. So this time we just went for stalkers. Do they actually blink? If you have blink research, can you actually blink hallucinated stalkers? I would really know that. So next time, Koshkii, you would do me a great favor if you just developed blink. Or like zealots, do they charge? Do hallucinated zealots charge if you have charge available? So now we have Koshkii just pressing through the middle of the map. She has Archons in the mix, so force fields won't even help at all. And this is a very potent and scary army. I mean, she has all she has the damage dealers and tanks in the front. Okay, this little hallucinated Colossus won't really do that much, and even warping in more units from the right side with the help of the Warp Prism, actually just tearing down through everything once more. The army of Poison just being more powerful than that of her opponents. That didn't work, and it's 2-0 for Koshkii. Unfortunately for Poison. GG! So, welcome back to New Gettysburg. It's the third game of the series. Spawning to the bottom left in green, we have our Protoss player, Poison. And she's down 0-2, needs to make something happen as soon as possible if she wants to take the series. And to the bottom right in purple, trying to use a lot of icons that are not available. It's Koshkii. Let's see what she's going to do this time around. Maybe going for a gas steal once more. We'll see to that. There's the gateway, and there's the probe moving out. Poison has only taken one gas this time. Last time she tried to prevent the probe from putting down the Vespene, putting down the assimilator by just putting a probe next to the assimilator, and if you do that, it actually prevents probes from building on that building. But then Koshkii managed to drive that probe away and still build the assimilator on her opponent's extractor. Let's see if she's going to do it again. There is the probe, there is the other probe, and this time around, yeah, she manages to block it once more, but of course now she would actually need to pull some probes in order to just fight it off. And yeah, Koshkii, I think, realizes this time around that she won't be able to steal her opponent's gas once more. And you have actually just been a witness of the amazing process of learning. And there finally goes down Poison's own assimilator on her own Vespene geyser, and her build was not messed up. But still, she's behind 2 probes, with all the micro and distraction being involved. So, in the meantime, Poison managed to get her own pylon planted down, so Koshkii now has to sacrifice 2 probes from mining in order to tear down this pylon as soon as possible until her own stalkers arrive, but she doesn't want her own stalkers being occupied for too long with that pesky pylon over here, because she normally wants to immediately walk across the map in order to put some pressure on her opponent. Nice little pylon over here as well, so Poison is now even blocking that pathway. The interesting thing about that is if Koshkii now is just clicking or just selecting these units and then just move or moving towards her opponent's natural base or main base, these stalkers somehow miraculously know that this path is already blocked. And with this path blocked, they will just sort of they will just take the long route and not the short one. And sometimes players just don't pay any more attention towards their units, because they do these moves so often that they actually kind of have a feeling how long it's going to take these units to arrive at the base. So they just send them there, click there, and then just take care of something else. And then only after the right amount of seconds, they then just have a look at here and realize, wait, what? My stalkers didn't just walk across that bridge. They actually took the long route? What the fuck? And yeah, until they finally realize it's just too late. And you will have taken the long route, having lost a lot of time in the process. So, but it seems as if Poison again wants to go for some sort of early aggression with a proxy. I don't really know if I actually like that positioning and trying to warp in units. Actually, this is actually a bad idea. I mean, okay, now she's rallying it back or what? I mean, she can't really get through here herself unless she kills the pylon. And now having the stalker just spawn on the other side of the pylon, I don't actually quite know. Okay, just sending it back. Strange. A little bit strange, I have to say, but never mind. Okay, now she will be able to warp in units at that proxy location, but it's still a very narrow pathway. So actually Koshkii could just wall it off herself with a pylon, or she could just have a few units around here to greet everything that comes across that bridge. So yeah, let's see. I mean, in this case we have again 3 adepts being morphed in. They now walk across the map. We have some units in position already. Okay, warp gate finishing for Koshkii as well at the same time. Dark Shrine incoming for Koshkii again, sooner than her opponent. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, Shade's now walking in, and Poizon is probably going to be able to kill some of the probes that are around here. Yeah, unfortunately, the Photon Overcharge quite out of range. Just barely. Yeah, and again, Poizon would have actually need to micro her units a bit better here, because she doesn't really want to fight in a straight up fight against the Stalkers in the Mothership Core, but she normally wants to kill probes. But of course that requires a lot of attention. At the same time we have more adepts back here. Yeah, and then of course we can understand what the problem is, because microing at 2 different locations at once is actually impossible. But you can just switch between locations very fast if you're capable of, and make it seem as if you're actually microing at 2 places at once. Although, like I said, it's physically not possible. Not really at the same time, but you can, like I said, by very fastly clicking, you can make it seem as if you were at 2 positions at the same time. So, well, that actually didn't really gain her that much. Just have a look. Okay, never mind, it's 12 workers. So 12 workers, actually quite a nice damage. She's now in the worker lead with her own base up and her 3rd base in position, but she's not prepared for DTs. And that's unfortunately one of the units that Koshkii just sent in. Even not attacking the Nexus, but just waiting here with the Dark Templar for Poizon's probes to arrive, and then she will just go in and kill it. Nicely done there. So killing 1, 2, and 3. So is already at least repaid a 4th of the damage that Poizon did to her. In the meantime, Koshkii has already taken her own 3rd base and is now trying to saturate it. Has to be careful, of course, since her opponent might have invested into a Dark Shrine as well. She doesn't know yet. Poizon would still have the possibility to build a Dark Shrine, but it would still take her 90 seconds before she could finally warp in any of these annoying DTs. So in the meantime, we have Poizon just walking across the map. Koshkii has the pylon, has the Zalnaga Tower covered, so she knows that a unit was walking across that map if she paid attention towards the minimap at that point in time. You never know. There's almost so many things that people could see or could know, but you really don't know if they actually do. And it seems as if Koshkii just wants to go for the same composition that brought her victory over the last few games, and why not? I mean, it was quite successful that far, so why not do it again? Templar Archives for Poizon. Seems as if she wants to get rid of some of the excess gas with the help of High Templar Archons. So Koshkii just getting the full scout this time with the right hallucination. Poizon just trying to assemble all of her army units at one point. More gateways for Koshkii, so Koshkii definitely preparing for a big push out. A few more Immortals, the charge upgrade, and once that is through, she'll go for the offensive. Okay, this is just the... So DT's now taking down the pylon, and probably the gateway. So some less production for Poizon, even a supply block right now, but also a supply block for Koshkii as well. So another forge almost done. Charge is almost done as well. Oh no, that actually poisons. What am I doing? Poison's base. Does Koshkii already have charge? Yeah, she already does, so never mind. Yeah, so it shouldn't take all too long until Koshkii is finally moving out. I think she was just waiting for a few more Archons and the 4th Immortal. So now just walking across the map, no real proxy pylon available for her. Does she have a warp prism? Or is it incoming? There it is. Okay, just building one. So she will probably be able to warp in a few units once she arrives at Poison's side of the map. Okay, okay, quite cleverly done by her. Just checking for the Nagata once more, seeing the gold base. Well, Enolia. Was it Enolia or was it Nevea? I don't know. Someone actually tried to take that gold base today, but it didn't quite work out. I think it was Enolia who tried to do it. So, Poizon has an observer in place. That observer might tell her when the army is arriving. She should already know that something is coming her way since she saw her own hidden base, her ninja base, getting torn down by her opponent's forces. So she should actually know what's coming her way, and that something is headed her way. Trying to take a fourth base in the meantime. Yeah, and there's the big engagement once more. This time around we have Koshkii with less supply and a lot of Archons and Immortals for Poizon as well. So I don't really see Koshkii winning that easily once more. Still, of course, there's a lot of units not actually firing right now. But a big move command here. Actually, a lot of units not firing for quite some time right now. And it seems as if Koshkii again just barely has enough. Maybe mostly I think to Poizon just move commanding a lot of her Immortals and not having most of her Immortals firing at the beginning of the fight. Because otherwise, I mean, yeah, the upgrades are better. 2-1, 2. Actually, I can't see it anymore. GG! And Koshkii takes the series 3-0.